online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Agent Carter fans, it's time to talk about Agent Carter here at AFTERBUZZ TV. I couldn't be more excited. Guys, we're back. Yeah.
It has been far too long.
It has. It's been almost like 10 years or something.
It feels
all
like
right. Thank you guys for joining us. This is AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm your host, Zach Wilson, with my red fedora, as always. And joining me for tonight's Agent Carter Season 2, Episode 1 premiere, Megan Salinas is here.
Hey guys, you guys can tweet at me directly at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
Emma Fyffe is joining us this season.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here. I am Emma Fyffe. You can find me all over the internet wherever Emma Fyffes are sold at my name, Emma Fyffe.
Jessie Klein.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessie Klein. You can find me at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, as always. Guys, first reactions. How do we feel after this extra long premiere of Agent Carter?
I don't think I've smiled for 2 hours straight in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I was grinning from ear to ear these 2 episodes. It was just fantastic.
I definitely had a wide, stupid, goofy grin the whole episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of, like, it's fun to be back in this world. It's fun to see these characters that we all love. And also, we were talking before, we haven't seen each other in like a month, and it's been a while, so it's like fun to be like hanging out with my pals again.
It's also really fun to have a show that is, because obviously, you know, dark things are going on. People are getting murdered. There's like a terrible antimatter situation
Things are happening.
However, because it is that stylized sort of 1940s, it's almost a little bit campy in a beautiful, beautiful way, and it's so enjoyable to watch something that's so much fun, especially because especially the last show I talked about in the Marvel Universe. I love it, but Jessica Jones is pretty dark. You know what I mean?
It's very dark.
No, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't have the campiness that it had in Season 1.
Yeah.
It got very dark in Season 2, and Season 3 is still dealing with some pretty heavy stuff. So to have something very kitschy, very bright, again, I was just grinning from ear to ear.
Big hats. Lots of big hats.
That's the beauty of the Marvel Universe, though, is that you can do all of these things. You can go into these dark places, and even in these lighter shows like Agent Carter, you can tackle all those heavy issues. Season 1 spent pretty much the whole season dealing with issues of feminism, and like it was the 1940s, and like apologists can look at it and be like, no, it was the 1940s, and then you're like, no, wait, we still behave like that.
Stuff is still applicable.
And it looks like Season 2 is going to be dealing a lot with the racism issues of the 1950s, which is a great place to take it. We couldn't do like we didn't want to do the same things we were doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Season 1.
They obviously addressed some of the sort of borderline misogynistic attitude towards women, but they're obviously not going to deal with it in the same way, particularly in relationship to Peggy Carter herself.
Yes.
Yeah, I was really worried that we would start this season and it would be back at square one.
Yeah.
But like everyone respects her. Like everyone who's worked with her before is
Exactly.
like, oh my God, that's Peggy Carter. like I like that continued on. Like they know she's the one that took down that huge like secret sect last season.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have her being established just badass.
Well, I think what's great about it is not only the fact that they kind of, in this season, it looks like they're addressing the whole diversify Agent Carter hashtag that was going on last season, which is super great. Yeah. But I also like that she now has a team in her corner. She didn't have that last time.
That is absolutely true.
She was like a lone wolf, like, I have to do this, I have to prove myself, just as a matter of her own sense of pride. Yeah. Right. Because she knows she's capable, and she's dealing with a bunch of people who don't believe that. And so now that we've gotten through all that, to have a team in her corner, people she can work off of and who can work off of her in return, like, that's fantastic. And it makes for a lot of that great dialogue and a lot of that fun that we were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Jessie was starting to get at there, where it would be easy to start with Peggy back where she was. Yeah. It could have, I think that expands to the whole cast, the whole team, because it would have been very easy, and a lot of shows fall into the trap of putting characters back to where they were at the beginning of the last season or beginning of the show. And no one is where they were at the beginning of season 1.
Thompson's chief.
Thompson's chief. Everyone that performed admirably in season 1, and with that big case, like, they got what they deserved from like solving a major case.
They've all progressed. Sousa's a chief now too.
Yeah, Sousa is the chief of the West Coast Bureau.
Yeah, sure. With Hercules and Hawkeye.
That's a different organization.
Sorry.
But that was a cool thing to give him, because he earned it just as much as anybody else. And Peggy is like the all-star. Instead of like sending in, they're like, no, just send Peggy.
I don't think she's getting sandwiches this season.
No. Or making coffee.
Although it is very fun to like kind of look at Thompson and see what he's getting at by sending her to the West Coast, because on the one hand that could be like, thank me on your wedding day. On the other hand, it could be like, I'm asserting my masculinity into this situation. We're gonna do things my way.
Let's talk about the top of the episode, because we started off with that awesome bank heist.
Oh, that was great. And they totally tried to throw you for a loop with Dottie wearing the red fedora.
Yeah.
And I love that she's like, next time I'll be an SSR agent, and that's exactly what she's going for.
She went for the best of the best of the SSR agents. When we saw that preview in, like, I think we were watching, because we were watching the Captain America special. They showed that little clip, and we were just like, knowing that Madame Mask is coming, I was like, oh, it's Madame Mask, so it's like we're gonna have, like, I think Megan, you put it would be like the Agent May scene from S.H.I.E.L.D., where it's like Haley Atwell fights Haley Atwell. But this was even better. It was fun to have Dottie back. We got a little bit of the last season carrying over there.
Well, she's obviously going to have a some sort of role to play this season based on what she was so eager to acquire.
Oh my god! When I saw the Hydra pin, I freaked out. Like, I got chills. I was like, it's the same world. It's the same universe.
Speaking of which, Ray, if you could bring up, we got our fantastic engineer Ray in the booth. If you could just bring up those photos that I sent over, because this popped up on the screen, and like first and then the other one was we saw
was
first
the lapel pin.
The pin, and then later as that there it is, there's a pin. Both of them, we didn't notice it when
we're looking at the pin,
looking at the pin, it just, like, because it was so fast, but then as soon as they shot that image of the sign on the wall before the meeting, I just
our jaws were on the ground. Like, that's how shocked we were.
So this is, for anyone who doesn't know why we're freaking out, that is the ram's head Hydra symbol that's been introduced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be the ancient Hydra, the more subtle, more undercover Hydra.
That's been around forever.
That has literally been around for ages and ages and ages.
I love tying this together. I mean, it gives us, for the people who are like as insane paying attention as us, it gives us, we instantly know who that little border shadowy figures is.
But at the same time, for anybody who's just watching Agent Carter, who hasn't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this is just, mysterious organization number 2, which is fine. That's great.
Yeah, and again, and they already are sort of laying that groundwork of, okay, so obviously there's some connection here because, Dottie got the lapel pin, and then we see the symbol on the wall, and then later towards the end of the technically episode 2, but it was a 2-hour season premiere. So anyway, towards the end of everything, when basically Peggy goes, "Oh, I've seen this symbol before." Even if you're not watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not like you still are able to put the pieces together. You're not in that just like chaotic territory of there's all kinds of stuff happening and I can't follow the plot.
You know that it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
People are bad. They basically they don't imply. They straight up say they caused the
market crash.
Stock market crash. So yeah. Bad guys.
Yeah, the only way they could be more evil is if one of them was stroking a cat in one of a little spinny chair.
In my mind, the chair didn't stop spinning.
But so in the first episode, so what we were talking about with Sousa and Jack setting him out.
Yes.
What do you guys think was his motivation there? Was it because there's two ways to it. There's one of he's clearly enjoying whatever reason is. Do you think he's sending her to mess with Sousa or to mess with Carter?
I think it's to mess with both of them. I don't think it was like, I need to get this girl out of here because I want to be the star.
I actually disagree with that just a little bit. I think if he did it, he more did it on an unconscious level, because when Peggy is interrogating her, the 2 other agents who are watching her in front of Sousa are talking about how if there's anybody who can crack this nut, it's going to be Agent Carter. And immediately he sent them out of the room. So I don't think he's doing it specifically to be mean or to be all macho man. I think it's very much on an unconscious level because he still, in his mind, has a lot to prove because he was the one that got credit for her accomplishment at the end of last season. So I feel like maybe he's not trying to be mean, but I feel like he feels like he needs to earn his keep.
Yeah, I'm cool with that because why wouldn't you tell Sousa if it wasn't to screw with it?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's more go off, you 2 lovebirds, and I'll take care of this. And
I mean, it's interesting because I sort of interpreted when he sent those 2 guys away as him actually expressing a certain level of admiration for Peggy because they were kind of trying to make a sporting event out of her interrogation. And so I actually saw it as somewhat respectful that
get out of here, guys. She's just doing her job.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely my initial reaction to him sending her away was when he was like, "Oh, I know just the man for the job." I was like, I saw that as, I mean, if you want to have our most capable agent, Peggy is your man.
And if that makes you uncomfortable, well, that's your own fault.
Yeah, exactly. And also, definitely got a touch of him trying to start a love affair.
Only to find out later that Sousa...
you called it, man.
Yeah. I felt it too.
There was a moment in there just when... I forget it, right before about 5 minutes before the reveal of that, I was just the way he's behaving,
I know.
Oh, he's got a lady.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely been I feel like, ladies, if a guy just stops hanging out with you, it's because he doesn't want to hang out with you.
He wouldn't return her calls.
I know. It was so. Speaking of love affairs, I'm in love with Bernard.
Bernard, specifically the way that it's pronounced with an English accent, which is Bernard, is the funniest name on the planet to me. So when the flamingo was named Bernard, I just lost it.
Bernard Stark.
But yeah, I mean, while we're on Sousa and Carter, I mean, the whole thing with it was Victoria. Right?
I thought it was Violet.
Violet is the girlfriend,
It was a V name.
Well, Violet and then Rose. There are a lot of flowery names going on.
That's true.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you guys think it's having? What are we supposed to think at this point? Obviously, while we were away,
right?
Carter fell for Sousa.
I think probably, like, in the most, like, clinical thing, I think probably what it is a device so that Agent Carter can, like, explore other romantic options this season without her, like, it seeming like, well, why aren't you just with Sousa?
Without it being forced.
Yeah, without it being forced. I think probably what it is it's like, you know, Sousa, it's also a good way to show us where the time jump is.
Yeah.
Because Sousa has been there long enough to have gotten over Peggy and found someone else.
Yeah. He's been with her enough that he, like,
wants to marry her?
It was literally
He wants to put a ring on it after 6 months.
He was about to propose.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was the 50s. People moved a lot faster.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that's true.
But, but like, I think it's mostly to kind of, like, help us see that time jump.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh man, like, they've had something and then lost something in the amount of time we've missed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, his life is in LA now, and his life has gone on.
I mean, he had to move on. Peggy was not returning his affections.
Yeah.
For better or worse. Like, and Sousa's such a good guy.
I know.
He's like, all right. I see how it is. Like, and like, no fault to anyone involved. But I'm going to move across the country and move on with my life.
And he said it himself, like, a 3-hour time difference feels like a lifetime, and even more so back then because
you couldn't just send a text message.
You couldn't just send a text. You couldn't FaceTime. You couldn't Skype.
Yeah, there was no, like, getting a picture of that person, like, unless you went to Sears, got a photography shoot, and snail mailed it to the other side.
Type after 45 minutes. The photograph has been...
It wasn't the 1850s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't have to send the Pony Express.
Why are there cars?
She didn't have to sit there for like 4 hours while they took the photos.
Just one guy on a pony.
I hear this guy Edison's got a way to send photos of your loved ones across the country.
It's called a fax machine.
Let me wire this information. But everyone has to know. Yeah. But on the one hand, I'm happy for Sousa. I think that it's good that he wasn't just gonna sit and wait around for her. I think that's a good thing. On the other hand, and I feel the same way actually about her getting involved with in another romantic relationship right now. Other Marvel shows have led me to be very predisposed towards suspicion of a new romantic partner.
Yep.
Very, very specific cases that I don't want to mention in case other people aren't watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other things like that.
It's funny you should say that.
The chat is
because,
saying
the chat...
is either thinking she's getting fridged or think that she's...
I would hope not fridged, but at the same time, I don't want Susie to get stabbed in the back either.
Well, Justin Van Volkenberg, awesome name, says Seuss's girlfriend is either a martyr, so a refrigerator, or an agent of Taurus / Hydra.
He said also martyr equals pulling a Roz.
Oh, he's not wrong. And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. But
Justin, you're a cold man.
If you look at, not to talk too much about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but if you look at Skye and Ward in season 1, Ward turned out to be Hydra, and that ship sank. And then in this past season, we get betrayed, we get betrayed because of it's
New Shield.
Not New Shield, but Agent May and her husband.
Oh yeah.
There's that whole thing with Lash, and like, and we keep getting betrayed. You gotta
be real careful in the Marvel universe if you're dating anyone.
That's true. They could be an alien. They could
but with Sousa and Violet, what I really enjoyed about Peggy's reaction to that was that it all felt real. Like her, let's be perfectly honest, like her going towards Wilkes, there's a little bit of a rebound thing going on.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, he's still very charming and very handsome, so there's absolutely no question.
Scientist.
He's a scientist who's also a winemaker.
Yeah, she's doing the thing that people do where it's where you really like one person, but they maybe seem to be not so into you, so you date somebody else to protect yourself.
She turned down Wilkes when she thought that she could still go get drinks with Sousa.
Yeah.
And when that turned out not to be the case, she did the exact same thing he did.
Yeah.
Found it somewhere else.
I'm sure Wilkes is super happy about being that second option.
About being somebody's rebound.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're that close in a telephone booth with Peggy Carter,
Look,
are you going to complain?
Important things in comic book stuff happen in phone booths.
That's accurate.
Can we talk about her new roommates, by the way? Especially the reveal roommate?
We will. We'll get to that. Don't worry. There's so much to get to in these episodes. There's so much to get to. I want to talk about Wilkes still, though, because there's so much to talk about with him.
Yeah.
Because when we're introduced to him, he immediately falls for Peggy.
Well, and what's so interesting is when we were initially introduced to him, I was I loved him right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because he was so charming.
Yeah.
And just funny and clearly liked Peggy. And this was even in a moment where, like, I still thought that she and Sousa had a chance. So I was really torn.
Yeah, when they first introduced him, I'm like, oh no, are we going for like some crazy love triangle thing? Because Jack could still potentially have a thing for Peggy as well. And I was like, how big is this web going to get?
Screw off, Chad McMorris.
I mean, the thing is, like, when they introduced him, he was like a magician. He was like, you want to come see something?
Exactly.
You want to see something cool?
I just did something awesome. You want to come see it? It's like all these
he found
tunes.
somebody who... That company didn't look like it's that big.
No,
I know.
Like,
he saw a pretty lady that didn't work there and was like, hey, you want to see something cool?
I'm gonna give her some wine.
Turn on the charm.
Drink it.
Don't
accept drinks from strangers, ladies.
They don't all turn out to be nice handsome scientists.
That's true.
It was the 1950s. No one knew better. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just no one knew better.
But anyway, like he gives her some wine. And so basically his story, like he instantly falls for her, which trust me, I understand how one could do that.
Yeah.
He's only human.
Especially, oh my god, the red dress in that first episode,
She looks
or
great.
the maroon dress. both dresses that she, because she
And the
basically just
purple
wore
dress
two
later
dresses
on,
in
yeah.
these episodes for the entire time.
But I did love the red dress paired with the red hat that she wore to the horse race.
And her American accent.
Yes.
That's just the bee's knees.
I mean, I feel like I need to take a moment and just like breathe, because like if you watched any of this after show last year, you know that I am head over heels in love with Agent Carter.
Aww.
And if Peggy
I
had
like Dottie.
Good, you guys don't have to compete. It's fine.
But they're just like trying to make me love her more than I already did. Like beyond just like how stunning she looked in those dresses. I'm usually a whiskey girl.
I know.
That was fantastic.
I melted.
Girl after my own heart.
Yeah, she's great.
All right,
It's okay. It's okay.
Zach. It's fine.
okay. You're only human too. It's okay.
so I had to take the hat off.
Haley Atwell's amazing. I totally get it.
We can take a minute to appreciate
No,
Haley
absolutely,
Atwell.
because I mean, as a woman, I totally have a very serious girl crush on her.
100%,
and it's because, especially the character that she plays on this show, is so just refreshing for a lady character. I am such a sucker for like a girl kicking butt in high heels and red lipstick. You know, like I love that. I love when a girl is a total badass without sacrificing any of her femininity, and that's 100% what Peggy Carter is.
Yes, and I think these episodes displayed it in a great way, because you see her obviously fighting. She's like giving orders to, when Wilkes and her are under fire. Yeah. She's the one who is telling him, "You do this. You shoot the gun. I'm gonna jack this car.
I'm gonna hotwire."
Yeah, that was amazing.
But then all like at the same time that she does all these badass things.
Yeah,
the episode ends in her struggling with seeing, basically assuming that Wilkes just died, and the performance that Haley Atwell gave was fantastic because it was this subtle. She didn't cry, but you could see
the devastation.
You could see the devastation. And you could see the tears welling in a way that was almost more powerful than crying.
She does a really, really good job of portraying those moments where Peggy is hurt or vulnerable without just outright, again, like you say, crying, because Peggy as a character is so much about how she's a workaholic, you know? Like, she's totally married to her work, and overall she does shove her emotions aside, or she tries to, but she does a really good job of being like, I'm staying strong, but like inside I'm dying.
The reason why she's a workaholic is because the love of her life died in World War II.
Exactly.
As far as she knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that she now, not only was he the love of her life, but he was also the best person who's ever existed.
In the world. Yeah.
And now she feels that burden, the stuff that he would be bringing to the world, she feels that that's on her now. And that she has to protect the world the way he would. And so I think that's what makes her such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Like, she has that weight with her the entire time. She's fun. She has those like jokes and stuff like that. But still now, like, you can still see Captain America's shadow still with her.
We watched the Captain America special that they had right before, and at one point they're interviewing Haley Atwell, and she said that, you know, Captain America is now the standard by which she judges everybody because he was the best man she's ever known.
Yeah, good luck, Wilkes.
Good luck, anybody, man.
Yep, as Billy Pollahan says in the chat, she has the worst luck with men, because where do you go after Captain America?
It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. I mean, there's no drama with, I guess he's fighting the Nazis, so there's plenty of drama. But yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot, and like when she was coming out, that when she is like clearly devastated, clearly upset, but she doesn't even mention the fact, like, anything about Wilkes. She just goes right into,
let me give you my report.
Here's everything that you need to know about the situation. I'm going to debrief you on everything that happened, so that we can move on, so that we can keep the investigation going, even as she's just fighting back tears.
Yeah.
The job comes first, and that is such an amazing character.
And that's what she has to latch onto too, if she is going to move forward. Because otherwise, you know, if you stop too long to look back, you know, you're never going to be able to move forward again.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to feel horrible later.
You can feel horrible all you want when we get back to the base.
All right, so let's move to some other stuff in this episode that, like, because beyond, so I want to talk about everything that Isodyne is doing with what is seemingly graviton from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Speaking of, like, our jaws dropping, that scene.
First reactions, guys, when I want to know what you were thinking at the end of episode 1 when that shot just comes up.
My first thought was actually not with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing that we're talking about. At first I was like, is that a door? I was like, oh no, is that gonna be tied in? And I was like, oh no, it's not that. It's graviton, or whatever they're calling it. Zero.
Well, they're calling
matter.
it zero matter, as we learned in the second episode.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, and Graviton is a character that you haven't seen since the Doctor.
And we're still waiting on that, by the way.
Yeah, it was Dr. Hall in season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And it still hasn't come back.
into the
zero matter.
Was
that even the same stuff? Was it the same substance?
I think it is.
It seemed like it's designed identically.
Well, and I feel like, too, they do a really good job of incorporating everything together, so it would surprise me if it wasn't.
Well,
if that makes sense.
And I mean, and I mean, by the time we do get to when we first see that very similar substance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s possession.
Yeah.
So, it's like being transferred, I believe.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, at this point in where we are in this season of Agent Carter, it's it is out there and at large. So that, that's obviously going to be a plot line is re-containing it.
Well, and it might not even be the same stuff, because it might just be like a similar thing, or they might have more of it elsewhere, because we see traces of what happened to it by the time we get to the end of this two-parter, but like we don't see it in its form, that we see it when we see it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We see it in her cut, and I'm sure with whatever's left of Wilkes, I'm sure it'll be like encompassing him in some way, shape, or form.
Like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's called gravitonium. They've never, to my knowledge, and chat, correct me if I'm wrong here, but no one before this has said zero matter. That's new right now. That doesn't mean it's different, because this is, again, there's a good 50-60 year difference here. So they could have easily renamed it or rediscovered it, because they set up that Franklin Hall, who later would become Graviton if he follows his comic book trajectory, like he was studying it, he discovered it, like he's the expert in it. He could have found the same thing later. My first thought was like, is this how are they gonna, like, it's like, because bending gravity can bend a lot of things, including space-time. Sure. So, like, is like Franklin Hall gonna pop out in the 50s and be like, how the hell did I get here?
That'd be amazing.
No, I definitely saw the potential there for it being like a space-time door.
A space-time continuum.
Yeah, no, totally.
But it does lift the trucks off the ground before sucking them in, so it's clearly messing with gravity.
Everybody in the chat needs you to know, Zach, that it's Dark Force and it's a Doctor Strange tie-in. That's the opinion of the entire chat roll right
chat
now.
roll. The Dark Force.
That would be amazing.
It's magic now.
They did say that there is Butters and Fazekas did say that there is going to be a big a subtle Doctor Strange tie-in.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that might not be quite
in the
MCU,
enough. Science and magic are the same thing. It's established with Thor, like the way both are presented, it's the same thing. So this could be magic.
I think that's their justification for having magic moving forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to phone a friend next week. I'll talk to Matt Key over at Marvel Movie News when I see him on Thursday, and I'll get the lowdown on Dark Force. If that is in fact what we're dealing with, I'll have all the information for you next week.
Excellent. Can't
wait. I wish we could just like call him up now. Like, Matt, we have Doctor Strange questions. Answer.
I'd like to phone a friend. Yes, it'd be stupendous. But we can make calls from the studio, right?
But so that was one. That was a potentially big storyline that like we're waiting to see where it goes.
Yep.
Obviously, we know potential spoilers. Should I save the mask spoilers for later?
I feel like we're talking about the dark matter. Let's just do it.
So Whitney Frost is the character that we all meet, is the actress. And for those who may not be aware, Whitney Frost is a character from the comic books known as Madame Mask.
Yep.
I thought Madame Mask was sort of done with in the Marvel
Agent
universe.
33.
With Agent 33, I thought they had sort of just reappropriated that character.
Well, she's like a major Daredevil villain. So like having her here is fine because Daredevil's got enough villains.
Right.
Yeah,
so
and they recently brought her back for Invincible Iron Man. She's been a major villain in there.
Yeah, she does a lot of like espionage and like behind the scenes thing. She doesn't have any superpowers per se. She's just good at hand-to-hand combat and shooting guns. And she always seems to kind of be in the right place at the wrong time.
That sounds like the perfect type of character to be in our big spy show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it almost seems, because you bring up a good point, Jessie, that in the comics she doesn't have any powers. She's just good at hand-to-hand combat and has a terribly mangled face and wears a mask.
It wouldn't be fair to like throw her up against like Secret Warriors at this point.
But it's sort of interesting because I feel like with this whole, dark matter,
it's the Dark Force. Yeah. I did some quick Googling and all of our just like crazy theorizing out the window.
So that's Dark Force.
But what I'm saying is that
yes. Sorry.
Awesome.
They said that before the season, I think some people from Marvel had gone on record saying the Dark Force was going to play a role in this.
That's awesome.
It could be literally just getting us to this point where now Mask and potential other things that we'll save for the spoiler wall. I know you have theories, Jessie.
But it's interesting because
so many.
you know, to the point of Madame Mask, like at the end of this episode, she had like a cut on her face, but it was clearly filled with the Dark Force. So like, is the Dark Force just like in her face? You know what I mean? Like I feel like
is it getting absorbed into her very being,
that's what
into
I'm
her
saying.
blood?
Yeah,
is it just gonna deform her face? What's gonna happen there?
Is she ultimately going to be this character that was basically just really good at hand-to-hand combat? All of a sudden, now she's gonna have some superpowers. I'm just saying. Could happen. We'll see.
Who knows? Maybe in light of the technology not being there in the 1940s, maybe they'll give her the ability to actually change her face. And that will be her superpower.
I mean, like, you've introduced an unknown element and an explosion.
Yeah.
Marvel Universe properties, you just got superpowers.
Yeah, that's true.
Fact.
If you live in the Marvel Universe, just hang out near nuclear explosions.
I mean, when they said a nuke, I was like, is Mark Ruffalo?
Just go to the nearest science lab and start opening the cages of the various animals that are there.
It just makes me think of like an old Family Guy bit. I think where Adam West goes and rolls around
Mr.
in
West,
radio.
you have lymphoma.
Exactly.
Oh, probably from rolling around in all that toxic waste.
There was a cool little Easter egg for Whitney Frost in here. When it's like, because they're talking about her movie career.
Right.
Surely you've seen Tales of Suspense.
Yeah, I know.
Which Tales of Suspense number 98. Is the first appearance of Whitney Frost in the comics.
Nice.
Not just
writing.
an old comic book, but a relevant one.
That's very interesting.
That was the biggest Easter egg I could find. That wasn't like plot related. All right, so we haven't even talked about the Lady of the Lake and the freezing. Because that was the big thing in the first episode.
Right.
At first, I thought is this going to be like the big mystery that we have to solve? And then they're just like,
they solved it pretty quick.
Nope, done. It was the cop.
I think for me it's I watched too much Dexter, where they'd take an entire season to figure out one
to solve
murder
the serial killer,
right? Which it was always him. That was the show. But yeah, I mean, that image of just like the lake in Echo Park and it being like frozen in the middle was extremely confusing to me.
It's so funny because again, and this is just to also touch on the point that the show has moved locations to LA. Since we all live in LA, we're giggling at when they say things like Cahuenga and be home before you hit traffic on the Cahuenga Pass or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Cahuenga Pass
it's a dry heat.
It's just the Californians.
It totally was.
It's really funny. But to kind of go back to what you were saying, Emma, about loving a show where it's just a woman wearing lipstick kicking ass. In my heart of hearts, I really like those old 40s mystery film noir stuff. And so, I to the point where I even listen to old-timey radio dramas and stuff like that. And there's one about a female detective, and I feel like I'm watching that unfold, only a little bit more lighthearted. And we even have, if we are talking about Wilkes being a potential bad love interest for her, that could even be a reverse femme fatale thing. So I'm sitting here trying not to geek out too hard at how film noir this is. It's gonna be so good.
The style is very good.
It's Raymond Chandler.
Yeah.
It's like that type of style for sure.
Yeah, just the way that they sort of oversaturate. I'm pretty sure it's over. I always have to play with this stuff. When I'm editing.
Oversaturate.
Just the oversaturate everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To like give it that like
golden glow.
Exactly. Everything has
literally
that feel.
Everything. I mean, down from like the color palette that people wear in their costumes, and just how green the greens are, and it's
how
awesome.
wide
It's golden age of it's golden age of Hollywood.
How pink Bernard is.
Bernard Stark.
But like, I mean, it feels like an old movie where like the lines weren't as harsh as they are with, especially with digital. Like everything was a little bit softer, and that's what we get here.
I will say my favorite line of the entire thing was when Peggy first arrived in Los Angeles and Jarvis was explaining to her why he needed to drive her, and he said to her, "You've no idea how foreign Los Angeles will seem to a civilized person like yourself."
Too true.
The traffic.
I feel right at home.
The bad drivers.
I feel right at home.
But it was really cool to just see this mystery like this old school mystery.
It does. It feels like an old detective novel.
But while we're talking about mysteries, what is happening with this guy? Because they don't really explain
with Chadwick.
Yeah, or not with Chadwick, but with the cop.
Yeah.
I immediately wrote Ice 9, which if you're a Kurt Vonnegut fan, like that's basically what his powers are. It's just ice that keeps perpetually kind of expanding and takes over the entire world. And I was like, this is cool. Are we going to get just Ice 9? Is LA going to be iced over? Like, that'd be awesome.
Because, they make it very clear that it's the stuff going down at Isodyne getting contaminated, this person getting contaminated is what killed her, and what ultimately ended up killing the cop and the coroner as well, and they're trying to keep it all under wraps. I'm not sure how that ties into the zero matter, though. Is it just she got too close to it and it killed her? Or, is it not tied to the zero matter at all? Is it tied to something else?
What the cop said, what I gathered was that she was killed separately.
Yeah, she was killed by being contaminated with something at Isodyne Labs, and so it was his job. He was paid by the guy who was having an affair with her,
right?
Like it was part of like the serial killer had come back. 2
and
years
part
earlier.
of that was because he now has this either ability or curse or whatever it is going on, and that's what I'm really curious about is what exactly is going on there. It could be that he was experimented on with the zero matter.
Yeah,
I think it's a simple matter of she got contaminated by it and that's what killed her.
He did.
And then it was just him messing with the body because he probably got exposed to her blood by making it look like multiple stab wounds.
It's someone who what's his name is having an affair with.
Chadwick.
Chadwick. I think it might have been he's running for office, and so it's like you got to shore up all of your loose ends.
Exactly.
I think Madam Mask might have offed him, and not actually Chadwick. Like I think it was like a bit of like, you've got this embarrassing secret.
Like a lover's card sort of thing?
Absolutely under the impression that Whitney had killed her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
it's nice.
There's sort of a couple different ways you can look at it. It's very possible that yes, the girl Jane Scott had just gotten exposed to something
laboratory accident,
but because she had been involved with Chadwick and Chadwick was linked to Isodyne, they had to figure out a way to cover this up, and that is why she ended up,
in the lake.
In the lake, and with the other cop recreating the Lady of the Lake killer sort of telltale sign, so that's what everybody would think that it was. Or I think, Whitney might have killed her.
It could have been that too. Yeah. Because Whitney clearly also is kind of pulling the strings for her husband's company. She's the one that is pushing for use of the zero matter and is angry with him when the rest of the council dismisses it as too dangerous or too expensive or whatever. And she's the one that's like, no, this is the way of the future.
I'm the only one who knows what it's capable of. Because she basically is her husband doesn't understand the true value. The council clearly doesn't understand the true value. There's a lot that they're basically like a lot of Marvel properties. They're talking about renewable energy sources, and like everyone's aware that like no, this could like be like. Whether you're doing it for environmental reasons or money reasons, a lot of people in the Marvel Universe are like, no, this thing is going to solve like all of our problems on the Earth. Like,
and I'm going to be rich.
Why won't anybody listen to me?
I'll kill them all.
Then they'll listen when they're dead.
But so a lot of stuff this is going on with that, and then like so, I want to say it's. Probably tied to the council.
Yeah. I completely agree. It has to be.
But sorry, Vernon. The thing that I think is tied to the council, Vernon and Jack back in New York, because remember, so Dottie is arrested and we find out later, basically freed by the FBI.
I know.
And
Federal Bureau of Idiots. And
Vernon, played by Kirkwood Smith, real happy.
Red from that 70s show.
Yeah. See, I had a buffer in between because I watched Resurrection, which is another Fazekas Butters show.
Yes.
And I just watched RoboCop a bunch. So.
Oh man, that's right. He is in RoboCop.
I'm excited to see him. He's
great.
a phenomenal
actor.
If you like for whatever faults Resurrection may have had, and it was a good show that like had some like basically I think suffered because of Agent Carter because like Fazekas and Butters like were doing this at the same time, and I feel like they're way more excited about Agent Carter. But for anyone who didn't see him on that show, like if he's gonna have a role, it's gonna be fantastic because he showed in there. He may have been read to us before, but he has some amazing chops when it comes to drama.
I mean, in RoboCop, he's amazing.
Yeah,
like that movie is amazing, mostly because of him. Like it's fantastic. Like,
he's amazing for a number of reasons.
If he's gonna be a major kind of like antagonistic force in the show. Like how perfect! Like that's gonna be
I mean, he basically
awesome.
pulls Jack aside and is like, "Look, you got to get out of the SSR if you don't want to foot up your ass."
Yeah.
Well, and he also basically has a history with him as well because he's like, "Who got you a job?"
Yeah.
When
so we
came back.
At first, I was thinking like, "Is this like Thompson's dad?" Or. But clearly, so this guy
still a mentor
works
figure
for
of some sort.
Hydra,
Yeah.
or whatever this version of Hydra will be calling themselves. We can call them Taurus, for lack of a better, but like we'll call them Hydra.
Yeah, they're Hydra.
Border shadowy figures.
Yeah.
But so, what do you guys think his game to dismantle the SSR because they don't have enough agents in there?
They are spread pretty thin right now, and they arguably are probably the biggest threat to Hydra, especially since they did just take down the remnants of Leviathan.
Right,
So and especially with them being the shadowy organization that they are, being as insidious with the government as they are, and we know for a fact that, you know, the figures that are in Hydra that are currently in captivity are currently working on their plans to do just that.
Yeah.
So that could be what we're seeing is the fruition of Hydra getting, you know,
could be
like entangled with S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that other stuff.
We could be looking at what is at basically the beginning of a Garrett Ward relationship of like he's bringing him into the fold of Hydra, and maybe Thompson is
join the winning team.
Maybe Thompson like basically underneath or like aside, like right alongside Carter and Stark. Form S.H.I.E.L.D. Like we know that Stark and Peggy are a major role, if not like the main role, starting S.H.I.E.L.D.
Absolutely.
But we also know that Hydra orchestrated a lot of that, so this could easily be what we're seeing is the beginnings of is the true beginnings of S.H.I.E.L.D. The untold story, which is all the lead up to Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're starting S.H.I.E.L.D., you've got to have some sort of government backing.
Yeah.
Why not have this FBI dude help you out?
Yeah. I mean, it could, like, just think, like, what I was saying a minute ago, just, like, it could be very well that, like, just the SSR is pure. And, like, legitimately, Hydra has nobody inside the SSR because, like, for all the faults that we saw from a few of them last year, like, they might just be, like, all really, like, truly, they're fighting a good fight.
Yeah.
They fought in World War II. They've been fighting Nazis.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely the impression that I got from the SSR, you know, for that, you know, the reason that Peggy was in conflict with them was because from their perspective, you know, Howard Stark is a traitor and the end.
Yeah.
Well, and she was Captain America's girlfriend,
right?
And not a real agent, quote unquote.
Right, so, right. But I mean, but again, it's like the reason that she, even though ultimately, like, she was doing the right thing, but because of their definition of what's right and wrong, and sort of the black and white definition of what's right and wrong, she was in the wrong because, you know, she was getting involved with someone,
with a traitor,
with essentially a traitor.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff there. I'm really excited to see where it goes. Before we get towards the end of the show, we got to talk about Jarvis and Anna.
Yay. She exists.
She does exist. She's not a recording or a robot or imaginary.
I don't know. She might be a robot. No, but she's definitely not a hologram.
No.
Great character, though.
Yeah,
like,
she's great.
Love her.
Not at all what I was expecting out of that character.
I know.
Like, the only thing we knew about her before this season was that she was a Jewish refugee who was saved by Jarvis and broken out.
Yeah.
At the same time, is it any wonder that he fell for her?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, she's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like, no, it's no wonder.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's...
she's so... I really want to see her and Peggy have, like, a sparring match. You know what I mean? Just because she mentioned that she had been Jarvis's sparring partner, like, I feel like Anna is a secret badass, and I can't wait.
She made her a girdle that's also a holster.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I know. that just, like, small moment of, like, gal gab time was fantastic.
Well, I mean, and it's nice to see another friend for Peggy, and one who's more, I mean, like, Angie was a great friend to her last season.
Angie.
I miss her so much.
Yeah, the chat roll, like, you literally, Ivan Soto, I miss Angie.
Oh, I miss Angie. I didn't even see that. But it's nice to see her forming this friendship with Anna, who knows what she's really doing.
Yeah.
Because one of the nicest moments in the episodes for me was at the very, very end when Peggy is just in her room, you know, dealing with her feelings over Wilkes being probably dead. Probably not really, though. But as far as Peggy's concerned, dead.
Yeah.
And Anna comes in with the glass of whiskey for her, and she said, you know, oh, Jarvis recommended making tea, but I thought this was better for the occasion.
Well, and that's not to say that we're not going to see Angie eventually, because I mean, she's in Hollywood and Angie's an actress.
Yeah.
We will. Like, sorry guys, like, spoil. Angie is going to be in season 2. Like, it's already confirmed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's really a spoiler.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
So we're going to get all 3 of these characters in a room together.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's going to be great.
For 4 hours. Just
you know what I want? I want the 3 of them in a room with Jarvis.
Yes.
And Jarvis is there and he just, like, doesn't know what to do. Or better yet, he's in the car with them.
Yes.
And he's just like, oh my god.
And I love Jarvis and all the little insights we're getting into the way that he lives his life in service of Howard Stark.
And he's learning martial arts. You know, he wants, given everything that he's been going through, he wants to be able to defend himself better.
Well, we went through a lot in season 1.
He did,
so, like, if you went through that, you'd be like, I should probably train.
Yeah.
And he, like, because I think he felt more useful in that than anything he's done recently.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're working for Howard Stark, learn martial arts, get a
if
vest.
nothing else, just to prevent yourself from getting punched in the face by jealous gentlemen.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, that car.
Oh, the car.
With the champagne. I mean...
Is that a mirror?
Yeah.
A lot of those buttons are creepy. The champagne one is badass.
That's awesome. No, I
a
totally
great button.
would love to incorporate
They
that.
have a button that they refer to as his sock on the door.
Yeah.
Howard
hold on.
Stark, you were a
Don't
cat.
drink and drive.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like we need to stop and say, don't drink and
don't
drive.
drink and drive.
But if you're a passenger, feel free to use.
Or
Actually,
if you time
open bottle
travel to
laws.
the
Be careful.
1950s,
Yeah.
just have a champagne button on your Duesenberg. Like, just enjoy it.
Look, you know, in the
wouldn't have one
50s, we
after
learned
World
from
War II.
Back to the Future in the 50s, you park your car.
Yeah,
That's what you do.
just go and park.
True.
Yeah, oh my god, the mirror.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, we won't even get started now.
That cat.
But I am excited. I like that Jarvis has a need to do more.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I now see I have a bigger purpose here.
And it was so great to see him participate in the horse racing operation where he pretended to be like the head of Howard Stark Productions.
And I want to hear more of his pitch
Yeah.
about
of his
the
pitch
female
about
spy.
Right, the movie that he's making about the female spy.
I didn't actually buy that as like entirely pretending.
Oh,
I was
really?
like, he might legitimately be the head of Stark
That
Productions.
no, for sure. But the movie, it was like
yeah.
He was, she
The
was like, "What's
British
the film about?"
coming.
The movie is about.
I want at the end of the
Blue
season,
pants.
I want to be like on the set of this movie that
Yes.
he's just now made up off the top of his head.
I really hope that they make this movie.
And they cast Angie as the lead.
Oh.
And the name of the movie, Casablanca.
And history is made. Yeah.
I mean, again, Jarvis becoming crime fighter is great. I mean, in a weird way, he's sort of the Vision's grandfather. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's weird to think about.
yeah, I mean, or his father is like the
Yeah.
estranged
That's a
father
weird- yeah.
sort of thing.
It's just, I don't know, it's really cool to see. I just love Jarvis so much as a character because he's, specifically because he's not the hero, but he's useful and he's smart and he tries.
Well, and he's going to do his damnedest to do everything he can to do the right thing.
We talked a lot last season. He very much filled in like the role of the girl sidekick to Peggy, and I think he's still continuing on that kind of trajectory where like you would see like the action man and then like the nerdy girl who like does stuff on computers for him. Like that's who Jarvis is for Peggy.
It is, yeah.
And it's like it's continuing on that kind of track where like in the second season the nerdy girl's now taking martial arts classes because she wants to be more useful for the superhorror. Like it's
and then
the
in season
same
3
story.
she gets to be a superhero.
Exactly. Yeah. Agents of Jarvis.
All right, we only have a few minutes left, so before we go into predictions, what do you guys have any other favorite moments that we can get to talk about? Just standout lines, anything like that?
Just again, I just loved that it was like as kind of reverse film noir where we have a reverse. I love that they're doing an interracial relationship in Agent Carter. I think that's a great thing. And just again that moment where we get the symbol on the board and our jaws just dropped. I can't emphasize how awesome that was.
I'm really excited to see how the storyline ends with Bernard. He's still just running around in the lawn.
The Adventures of Bernard Stark.
I'm just happy to jump back into this world. It's such a refreshing, different world, yet still feels so connected to the other ones that we analyze all the time. So it's really fun to kind of see this beautiful, kind of fun, more stylized world than we're used to.
Yeah. I just like some lines that we got the return of Love the Hat.
Yes.
Which is a nice reference to season 1 and very much one of the more popular lines.
Oh, yeah.
That season. I like when Jarvis is talking about the movie and he's just like, she doesn't have a love interest.
We're still looking for the right actor.
Yeah, that was great.
So many great moments.
I liked when Jarvis referred to himself as a dangerous judoka.
And when his wife said he's never more lethal than when he's on his back. He's flat on his back, I believe was the line actually. And with that, real quick, I want to move to some news and gossip.
Let's do it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
There's a ton of news and gossip we could talk about in the Marvel Universe, but just in terms of related to the people in this show, coming out this week, tomorrow, in fact, Michele Fazekas and Tara Butters are officially taking over Captain Marvel for the comics.
That's so awesome!
Like Kelly Sue DeConnick,
yeah.
Thank you. It was like, it's not DeCormick. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Longtime writer of this series, and she's been a great writer. Had to step down, or wanted to move on to other projects, whatever it was. And they were like, who do we get to replace this? And the first issue of the Fazekas and Butters run on Captain Marvel starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
I gotta get it.
I'm going to it. And so let's do it. Predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I need my predicting hat for this.
Yes.
If you guys don't know, Agent Carter films primarily on the Universal Studios lot here in Los Angeles, California these days. I work on that lot. So based on some sets that I have seen, I predict that we will be seeing Howard Stark make a movie at some point during.
I believe that's an AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
Got exclusives right here.
Please let it be about a female spy who's tough as nails. Please. Oh my gosh.
Yes, and they covered all the streets with dirt, so we'll see. Yeah,
Western?
it was. No, it looked more like oldie timey. Like England, maybe. I mean, they were filming in London Square, so.
Okay. Very excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I think that because Peggy does have this support group that she didn't have in the first season, I think a lot of the kind of concurrent storyline with her being in Hollywood and other things going on in New York, I think it's going to be very much about dismantling the SSR, and then when that is left in ruins or shambles, she's going to be, well, I have my own team, let's make S.H.I.E.L.D.
Piggybacking on that, I feel like Thompson is going to either knowingly or unknowingly be counter-moving Peggy with the FBI, and it's either going to be like they're telling him that it's like this agent that they're trying to root out or something like that, or they're going to be like, we found out she's a double agent, we can't tell anyone, like you've got to help do some counter moves and stuff like that. And it's going to be this kind of moral dilemma with him, whether he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons, but it's actually the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and Jesse, real quick, you had some info on Wilkes.
Oh, yeah. So Wilkes is a character in the comic books. In those comic books, he's only appeared in one comic book, and in that comic book, he is a scientist that deals with forces that he can't control, and then he becomes intangible. He becomes a ghost. Like he can't be touched. He can't be seen sometimes, but sometimes he can.
That might explain why he disappeared.
Yeah.
Right, but we saw Whitney again at the end of the episode.
So,
oh my God, they fall in love, but they can never touch. That's the most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard.
No.
Well, I'm very excited to see that. I'm going to just lean on my main prediction that Thompson is going to become the first member of Hydra S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And with that, I think that's going to do it for the first after show for season 2 of Agent Carter. Thank you so much for joining us. We had to blow through so much in this week, so we missed anything, please let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you thought of this episode. We want to know everything you thought. You can also tell us on iTunes, SoundCloud, hit us on, like I said, YouTube comments right down below. All those ways, we want to know what you think. Next week, we'll do some iTunes shout-outs. So if you give us a review, you can have it read on the show. We'll shout out your name. So until then, we'll be back here next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Jessie Klein, where can everyone keep up with you?
Hi, everyone. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1. Also, you can see me doing comedy all over the Los Angeles area.
You guys are funny, trust me.
And I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. You can also see me on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzzTV.com. If any of you guys want to tune in tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, Alexis Torres, Mark Donica, and I are going to be doing a Galaxy Quest watch-along in honor of the late and great Alan Rickman.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did one for David Bowie, Labyrinth, last week, so it's really been very special and cathartic. But yeah, I'm on a bunch of shows at AfterBuzz TV. Star Wars Rebels comes back tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have somebody pretty cool in the studio, so be sure to check that out. And otherwise, follow me on Twitter, and you'll know everything I'm doing, because I tweet a lot.
We do have a special guest tomorrow. I'm super excited. Guys, I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I write articles for the movie Chick with 2 Ks. I also want to give a special shout out to Ashley Grisham in the hashtag #YouRock. Thank you for watching.
Yay. And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ThatZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. Whole bunch of shows coming up soon here at AfterBuzz, including Better Call Saul, The Muppets Returns, and a bunch more. Guys, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz ya later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.